Good morning, everybody. Yeah. So, we have this new employee who's not going to be there for very long because, unlike Walmart, the place where I currently work doesn't tolerate a lot of crap. And they don't pick and choose what rules they follow and enforce. So a little background. Well, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I do want to be a little bit careful. You just never know who's watching these videos, how they're going to react, how far they reach. But I can say this much at least. I don't know how old this kid is. I know he was fired from Walmart. It's a small town, so you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of trade-off. Walmart really isn't that far from where I currently work, so, and again, in a small town, you're going to see a lot of people that you know from other places. It's just inevitable. I don't know him that well. I just know, I kind of remember him from Walmart. Anyway, he started last week, and the first indication that he wasn't going to work out is that he didn't want to stick around to do his entire training module, all the computer-based learning programs. And it is a bit of a time commitment to do the training. But it's honestly it's not rocket science. You're not learning how to build a bridge. You're not learning how to put a man on the moon. You're just learning how to do the basic functions of the store. And he didn't have the patience to sit around and watch all those. He had to go spend some time with his girlfriend. My second indicator that he wasn't going to work out very well is when he and his girlfriend were in there, and they were at my line, and I was ringing them out, and she recognized me from Walmart and said, "Oh, Walmart's always firing people for bullshit reasons." And she was this, you can almost tell when people aren't going to work out just because of the way, like, oh, Walmart fires people for bullshit reasons. And I agree, Walmart does fire people for bullshit reasons, but they do occasionally fire people for the right reasons, like screwing around on the clock, not doing any of your work. I don't know. I'll leave it to you to decide. But my main point is, his first day at work, he took really long breaks. He did not clock out for a meal break. He just kind of went out, started taking a 30-minute cigarette break. The manager was not impressed. And the very next day, the assistant manager was on duty. And the assistant manager had already pulled an 8-hour shift, but the person who was supposed to take over for them called in. So they were stuck there for basically all day, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And this new kid was doing the exact same stuff, taking these really long breaks, not really doing anything, going into the bathroom. He would hide in the bathroom for several, almost 10 to 15 minutes, which, when you have a long line of customers, that can feel like forever. It's not like he had a medical condition either. Or if he did, he could have said something. I mean, I was upfront about autism. I was upfront about how sometimes I have meltdowns and that sometimes I need to be able to get away from the source. And they understood that. If he had a medical condition, if he had an actual need to go to the bathroom for that long, for that many times, he could have said something and they would have worked it out. But he was just going in there to avoid doing any real work. And halfway through the day, the assistant manager, halfway through his shift, the assistant manager just said, "Okay, when I went on my lunch break," and she told him, "When he gets back, I want you to go home." And he argued with her. Now, I know I'm only telling you what I was told. He argued with her, saying, "Why don't you send him home?" And she said, why don't you think about that? Because obviously I'm there and I'm actually doing my job and I'm trying to get stuff done in between helping customers. And then yesterday, he was not, the original plan was they were going to give me yesterday off because they figured he would work out well enough to give me a break. Like I'm gonna come Tuesday, I will have worked 8 days in a row, and that's only because one of the other employees left without giving notice, and we don't have anybody to replace him, so they needed somebody to cover those hours. Now I'm not complaining because I've got 35 hours 2 weeks in a row, which is a good paycheck. But it's not that I wouldn't have taken yesterday off if they asked me to, if they told me to. No, take that day off, relax, blah blah blah. But because he wasn't working out, my assistant manager told my manager, like, no, please don't send him home. Like, you know, this guy isn't working out, blah blah blah. He comes in yesterday, and it's just me and another it's me and another supervisor on duty. He starts copping an attitude. He's like, oh, did they tell you that you could come in? Did you pick up an extra shift? None of his business, by the way. None of his business. I was already scheduled to come in. And he's like, oh, she sent me home for no reason. I fucking run this place, blah, 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 blah. Like, the level of delusion out of this kid is amazing to behold. You know, he buys his water. His girlfriend is there enabling his behavior, basically acting like she knows everything. Oh, yeah, I used to work here. I used to work at Walmart. I'm like, do you ever think about why you used to work there and why you don't currently work there now? And you know, I'm not in the camp of nobody wants to work anymore. There have always been people like this. Look, I've been in retail for 20 years, and I've always dealt with people like this. I'm kind of like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse in that I don't exist as a character. Like my body is not physically up to the task of throwing people out of a bar. But after 20 years in retail, I kind of get an instinct about who's going to work out and who isn't. And it's not that I treat them any differently. It's just that I also don't invest any energy in them. But I already kind of knew from the get-go this kid wasn't going to work out. Like, no amount of effort, no amount of, no come to Jesus lecture or no amount of mentoring was going to convince this kid to put his nose to the grindstone and actually do his job. And I don't know what's actually going to happen. I just know that it's very unlikely he's going to be with us for much longer. If he's not fired this week or if he's not arrested for giving somebody a hard time, I would not be surprised. But whatever, I reap the benefits. Anyway, all right, well, on that note, have a great day, be safe, treat each other with dignity and respect.